Hello there.
It's showtime.
What is this, trick or treat?
Did I do that?
I'm Sailor Moon, the champion of justice.
Daddy would have gotten us Uzis.
The power is yours.
My name is Grace Jones.
Thundercats.
Power of 3 will set us free. Power of 3 will set us free. Power of 3 will set us free.
There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
Welcome to another episode of the Radical Retro Rewind Podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, and I am joined by everyone's favorite brother and mine, David.
My friends call me Sugar.
They used to call you David, but now...
They call me things like Big D, and I always hated that. I'm like, are you calling me fat or just big?
Big D! Oh, Big D.
You know what that's about.
So this is a long time in the making, Radical Ones. David and I have always loved this movie. I knew when we started this podcast that eventually, David, we would get to this movie. I thought maybe in the first year, we needed to work our way to a gem like 1974's Sugar Hill.
Yeah, I love this movie. There's so many one-liners in it. And I know that we off camera, we discussed, the impact of it for us and the genre that it's considered. So this is part of what they call the blaxploitation genre of films. Much like all the other things that we've looked at, I don't know if we lived in some sort of a bubble when we were younger or we were just accepting or didn't think anything of different things. I don't know, but I know in this movie there is definitely graphic words used, like they drop the N-word all the time. We're not here to get into debate about that. We're here to talk about the love we have of this movie. I have always thought, besides the stupid cliches in some of these blaxploitation films, I always found them empowering. Because I got to be honest with you, every movie, whether it was Coffee, whether it was Sugar Hill, whether it was Foxy Brown, or Cleopatra Jones. First of all, it was always a strong black woman, and the strong black woman always triumphed over evil, so to speak. Racism in what was that Cleopatra Jones where Shelley Winters was like the evil, like
Mama.
Yeah, like Mama. And so in all of these films, it was always, to me, a good versus evil, or I know that some other people could say, well, these were horrible and, you should never watch them, and this is derogatory content. I never looked at it that way. I always looked at it as empowerment. I looked up to these heroines because even though besides, again, some of the very dated, like honk and jive turkey, whatever, that kind of banter, I always saw a strong woman. I always saw a strong black woman. I always saw good people triumph over adversity and evil. So that said, you can have your feelings about it. I'm not entertaining anybody's how dare you watch this? I still love The Wizard of Oz. I know that when they used to call people, midgets and horrible things, to me as a child, I didn't look at it that way. I looked up to them. They were in a magical world. So I'm not going, whether or not it was exploitation from the studios or the directors, I am not giving it any power. I'm not giving it any validity because for us, it never was. And you can talk. I know I just got off of my soapbox, but this is how I feel. And I don't want to lose some of these things. Now, we're talking about a movie that was a low budget movie, but also propelled some careers of some actors.
Yes.
Anyway, I'll stop talking. I'm sorry, everybody.
I think you said it beautifully, David, because I honestly, one of the things maybe why we didn't do this in the first year too, I think I was worried about the term blaxploitation. I do hate to use it, but again, yes, I think we've always said that to us, these were empowering people. we're not watching this to exploit anybody. We're watching it for the entertainment value. And I gotta say, some of these low budget movies, how many times have we spoke about Blackula and how terrifying that movie truly is? It's a great horror movie.
Yes, and it depicts a different take. It's like a vampire in Brooklyn with, what was it, Eddie Murphy. It's like, are all vampires pale white people? No. So yes, whether or not it was weird or out of place at the time that it was made, I'm for it, as far as in a respectful way.
And even, let's say, Coffee and Foxy Brown, it was always also these women against even drugs. Coffee's little sister, LaBelle Coffin, was,
addicted
because of drugs, and she wanted to stop the drug dealers. So I think it really is empowering.
Everybody has their own opinion, and not everybody's welcome at the table, and people, you can certainly comment, but keep it respectful, because we have nothing but respect for these actors. I don't know. I feel actually in the world that we're in today that we even have to have this conversation in the beginning of this. We're just a fun podcast that tries to make people laugh and reminisce about something you saw in your childhood. That's all.
Amen. February 7th of 1974. So we're pretty close to the release date. Somehow that always works out for us. So February of 1974. We're doing this in February of 2022. But all these years later, I'm so glad that honestly this movie is finally getting attention, I think. I think now that it's wide released and not bootleg DVDs.
Don't knock the bootleg DVDs. If it wasn't for bootleg DVDs, we'd never see things like Night of the Comet and a few other gems that we would, until much later on. Yeah, I think it is. And actually, when we were discussing doing this, I went online to YouTube, and there is quite a few reviews of the movie that can't compete with our podcast, that can't compete with us, because there is no competition. You can bring that to the bank. But listen, I'm happy. Again, it's a genre. It's part of cinematic history, good, bad, or indifferent. And that said, let's talk about this movie, because I personally have used lines that Sugar used Diana in this movie. The name Diana is also giving me Diana Prince Wonder Woman power vibes, so that's why I love this movie too.
I gotta say,
and she's beautiful. God, the actress,
both beautiful women.
The actress who played this character, what's her actual name?
Marki Bey.
Beautiful
I'm probably
woman.
saying that wrong. I'm probably saying that name wrong too.
He's like Marky Mark, because you don't say anything right. She's a beautiful woman.
Beautiful and classic beauty. Elegance about her.
My husband, who doesn't like anything, actually watched the movie with me, and first of all, he laughed out loud twice. That's the one thing which he never does. Two, he said he mentioned how poised and beautiful the actress was, and he said he kind of told me she looks like a young Amanda Bynes when she wasn't a crackhead and she was pretty, like her skin. Like her, I don't know, something to do with her. I don't know. It's actually interesting for him to comment on anything, because he usually.
I'm surprised he even lasted, because let me tell you,
he was like when we put it on, he's like, I'll just see how long until I fall asleep. He did not fall asleep.
I believe it. I thought I was going to say
he loved it. He loved it, and I'm actually shocked. He said, I really liked that movie. I said, well, good. All right. And he doesn't like anything.
I was going to say, I am shocked. Let's get into it. Like David said.
Supernatural voodoo woman does a thing at night. Supernatural voodoo woman, do her wrong and you won't see the light. You won't see the light.
This is Sugar Hill, aka the Zombies of Sugar Hill. So it does have two titles. It's depending on, I guess, where it was released. And there's also another movie, Sugar Hill, with Wesley Snipes that came out later, which always comes up if you type in Sugar Hill. But this is the original one. The story centers on Diana Sugar Hill, a photographer in Houston whose boyfriend, nightclub owner Langston, has been killed by the mob boss Morgan and his men when he refused to sell the club to Morgan. Sugar seeks the help of a former voodoo queen named Mama Maitresse to take revenge on Morgan and his thugs. This movie starts off with a scene of a voodoo ritual we're believing. We think this is really happening, but then it turns out that this is all part of the act of Club Haiti, which is Sugar's, again, yes, Langston, her boyfriend's club.
It's performance art. So she's a photographer. So she must direct or whatever the performance art of this. Snakes and very cool. To me, it looked like it was an actual real voodoo ceremony. And I didn't know it was in Houston. I thought it was in Louisiana because of the whole mystique about Louisiana and the bayou and having, magic and different things.
I mean, we'll get into it, but it sounds like a jungle at some point. There's alligators, like bayous and things like that, swamps. But I have a feeling that scene was filmed in an actual forest, David. And then it looks like they just cut to it like it's in the club. Because if that club actually had a whole jungle inside, I mean, damn. Club Haiti was hopping.
There's some banter back and forth.
This is where we're introduced to Sugar and her boyfriend Langston,
who is in love with each other. They're deeply in love. She calls him my man. My man.
I don't want anything to happen to my man. Yeah, you could tell they're deeply in love, very sweet to each other, very tender. And then this gentleman, Morgan, the mob boss, he's trying to lean on Langston to sell the club to him for money, space, whatever they want this club for. And he's threatened. Directly after that, poor Langston leaves Club Haiti, which, by the way, from the outside, it looked like a clubhouse. It literally looked like it was made of plywood outside. Okay, they don't have a big budget, but it looked like a clubhouse. So he leaves in the parking lot, brutally attacked by Morgan's men, which is hysterical because they all were just in there a second ago and they decide to put pantyhose over the face. No one's going to recognize these people.
And one of them is Fabulous or Fabulous.
Fabulous. Literally, that's his name.
The actor who plays Fabulous was on Night Court. He was like the what do you call it, right? The clerk,
Charles Robinson, known for his role as Mac Robinson on NBC's Night Court from 1984.
And he also did voice work, and I think I'm not sure. I think he had a singing voice too, but I don't recall anything. I knew he did voiceovers too. Commercials and different things.
He's got a great presence, and on the extras on this movie, I'm so glad that this got real releases because there's actually extras now. He speaks so highly of Sugar or Diana and how beautiful she was, but also how nice she was for being so beautiful. And he was actually casting this movie as well. He was doing double duty. He casted it as well as playing Fabulous. So he said in the morning he would be his casting director self, and then he'd get to change in the afternoon, and he loved his outfits as Fabulous. So I like that little tidbit. Morgan has Sugar's man killed, and I always remember this scene, David. Sugar discovers him in the parking lot, and she does her Langston, her scream over the death of her man.
Yes. It was
very powerful.
Traumatic. He was beaten to death.
He was beaten to... I mean, it looked comical in the way that it was filmed because it looked like they might have sped up the kicking him around.
Well, because they don't want to kick the poor actor.
Exactly.
They didn't have stunt doubles.
Now, this is where I get confused, David. We always believed Mama Maitresse was related, right, to Sugar?
Well, isn't it the Hill Manor or whatever
That's the thing. So she's named Diana Sugar Hill, and this place where Mama Maitresse lives is on Hill Street. So is that just continuity, or that they named the Hill Street after the Hill family?
No, I think it's after the Hill family. I think they've been there. I mean, Mama Maitresse is over 100 years old. They've lived there for forever. So yeah, it was named after the family. It's a family name. And Diana Hill, I believe Mama Maitresse really is her mother because she pleads with her like, "Mama, please, Mama." Anyway.
Yes. So she goes directly after this to her old house, we're assuming, in Hill Street, in the jungle. Everything's in the jungle.
But she doesn't get to visit often because it's quite a drive, I guess, to go.
Oh, but quite a drive. You couldn't even open the door without cobwebs, though. So... Just to sum up this section, she goes to Mama Maitresse. I will say the only criticism I have of this movie, I guess besides the outdated language, there's a lot of walking, a lot of slow walking scenes. I mean, it builds up atmosphere, but Sugar does walk through a lot of rooms and a lot of the jungle, which I've never heard animals like this. This sounds like the stock animal sounds of Africa.
Of Adventureland or something. It's like...
Yes, like a safari adventure. But Mama Maitresse jumps out at like David said, she's pleading, Mama, please, Mama Maitresse.
I need
like,
you.
what are you doing here? Why have you come back? And she says that she met a man and the man was killed. So I call this the Yoda and Luke walking in Dagobah on Empire Strikes Back. Mama Maitresse has a cane. She's walking like Yoda in front of Diana Sugar Hill, and she's saying, where does the sun set? And Diana's answering all these things back and forth as they're walking through the jungle.
She says, where does the sun rise? And she goes, in the east, Mama. Where does the sun set? In Guinea, Mama.
She keeps going back and forth, and they're walking, and they're getting to this area where there's this ceremonial.
Mama Maitresse is also doing some sort of. Is she doing incantations while she's walking? I swear to God, I heard her say Papa Legba too when she was mumbling something.
You know what? I paid attention to this too, and I think she says when she summons him, not Baba Legba, not this person. Like, I think she says another name, and she's calling, meaning like she's going above these people, is how I took it this time. And she asked Sugar, how strong is your hate, David? I love this line.
Yes, I love this line.
She says, as strong as my love was, my hate is stronger. Ooh, I love it.
How strong is your hate?
As strong as my love was, my hate is stronger.
The risk is great.
I am ready.
So,
and Mama Maitresse is Mother Jefferson. From the Jefferson. I love Mother Jefferson when she used to talk. She was Louise back and forth with her. Oh my God, I love that. Anyway, I had to throw that in there because these are known actors.
Zara Cully, I believe, is the actress's name. But yes, Mother Jefferson from the famous Jeffersons. And the Jeffersons came out the year after this.
Oh,
so this was prior to the Jeffersons. So yeah, you're right. These people were. This is prior to the Jeffersons. So this is when Mama Maitresse calls the most powerful of her voodoo gods, David, the keeper of the dead, the king of graveyards. I love that. I love that line. But this is the best part. There's a shrine. Mama Maitresse says, he's a greedy god. You got anything. Your ring, give me your ring, Diana. Like, so there's a shrine there with like a seashell.
She takes a necklace off too, doesn't she?
Baron Samedi, keeper of the dead, king of graveyards, hear our call, make your presence known, rise to our call. He's a greedy god. Have you any money?
No, nothing.
Something, anything. Baron Samedi, a gift for you.
Try again, Mama.
Your ring, give me your ring quick.
She's taking everything. She's like, what else you got? What else do you have on you, Diana? She's like, do you have any money? She's like, no. So she's like, your ring.
Listen, I never go to somebody's house without bringing something.
right.
Whether it's a candle or a cake, nice Entenmann's cake. You're from New York, you're bringing an Entenmann's cake, or you go to the bakery.
So Diana didn't bring this, but they summon Baron Samedi. David, he comes with two zombie-like women who almost look like that vampire-esque, I just got transformed to the Bride of Dracula outfit. And Sugar looks over at Mama Maitresse and she goes, who are they? And she said, those are the brides of Baron Samedi. He's a great lover.
Those are the brides of Baron Samedi. He's a great lover.
I love it.
Has Mama Maitresse been around long enough? Has she trestled with Baron Samedi, or does she just know based on his
street cred or whatever?
His street cred, yeah. He's known as a great lover?
I don't know, but Mama Maitresse was like, she said, I don't know if I can do it. I'm old, I'm tired, but she still summoned him.
And she loved it. Mama Maitresse's eyes light up whenever she sees this voodoo shit going on.
And so there's an exchange between Sugar and Baron Samedi, and he wants to know why she wants his power. Yes. And he also says, you're not afraid of me. And she says, no, I'm not. The Sami, very powerful. She's not afraid of this god or this demon or whatever supreme creature. And she's like, I'm not afraid of you. I think that's what won him over. I think he wants to kill people and enjoys the kill of people and revenge.
Yep.
But because she stood up to him and was like, "I'm not afraid of you," which I would have peed my pants, I think, at that point, because that was.
He asks, "What do you have for me?" And she says, "My soul." And he says he's not into souls. It ain't souls that I want. It ain't souls.
What will you give me?
My soul!
Your soul? What's this talk about souls, woman? Ain't souls I'm interested in. It ain't souls.
So maybe he does just want murder. Mayhem, death.
He summons his army of the dead to aid her, which happens to be, it looks like they're all former slaves. They have shackles on them. Later on, you find in the movie, one of the characters goes to an expert on demonology and voodoo and stuff, a professor, if you will, and says that a lot of slaves were killed or thrown in the marsh or whatever with still chains on, or a lot of them died on their way from Guinea to the Americas.
I mean, honestly, it is history as well. Thrown in there.
It's a horrible history, but yeah, it is still a history.
But for the first time, David, I never noticed. This zombie never comes back again. But when the zombies all finally rise, I'm all about ambiance. This is a creepy scene of these zombies rising because they're grinning. But by the way, beautiful teeth for dead zombies. Because the zombies smile. But
they're happy to kill.
I've never noticed, but there was a white captain in the back, and he was almost in like Civil War blue, like a blue uniform. I never noticed that zombie before.
Well, that's probably based on slavery, or maybe he was the ship captain.
I'm thinking, like the blue and the red, the Civil War. So I never noticed that zombie before, but he was part of the army. So I don't know if it's just clearer now. It was a blue uniformed soldier. This is when we find our next character, which is a friend of Sugar, Detective Valentine.
Who dated Sugar at some point.
He meets her in a bar to talk about the murder of Langston. He said he couldn't believe that this is, he had to come for this, to talk to her about this. And David, this is something that we've always talked about this whole scene, because this is where that famous line comes from. So they used to date. You could tell there is a chemistry between the two of them too. They like each other still.
You also get the sense that Langston was not exactly the picture perfect sort of guy. Maybe he was a little, he had a little sordid past. It doesn't take away from the fact he seemed to adore Sugar and love her very much, and they loved each other. But Valentine's the good guy. He's a police officer. He's an upstanding man. Good looking guy too. And he's also been in other movies.
Very good looking. He is very familiar. Where are you, Valentine? Richard Lawson. He was also in Poltergeist. Poltergeist.
He was one of the people.
Ryan in the 1980 film Poltergeist.
Yeah. He was one of
the
he was one of the investigators.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
With Tangina.
Tangina.
It was him. He was a cameraman. It was him. It was Tangina and that white guy that saw the meat rotting with the glasses.
God, I cannot believe that this whole time. Valentine was right in front of us. Valentine isn't asking Sugar about this. Sugar tells him, and this is the quote of the ages. The first time I met Langston was right here. He came up to me and asked my name. It's Diana Hill, I said. He said, from now on, you're going to be called Sugar. Miss Sugar Hill, because you look as sweet as sugar tastes.
First time I met him was right here. Came up to me and he asked my name. Miss Diana Hill, I said. He said, well, from now on, you're going to be called Sugar. Miss Sugar Hill. Because you look as sweet as sugar tastes.
She says this looking out the window, reminiscing. And then, David, she says one of our favorite lines, that if it was up to her, she would make it so each and every one of the people that went after Langston ended up dead.
Sounds fair.
Sounds fair, right?
I would do the same thing if...
God bless the person that crossed David. Those legs would be flying. Those strong legs. This sets up something later that once, little by little, when Morgan's men are killed off, later on, Valentine comes to her again and tells her that people are dying in Morgan's gang. And she goes, I'm not supposed to feel sad about that, right? But then he's like, well, there's something going on here. It's like people are killing them in a way for revenge. And then she's like, do I look like the cold-blooded murdering type, Valentine?
I'm not holding it against you for playing your hunches, Valentine. I'm just telling you this one's wrong.
Maybe you don't know anything about the killings. Hey, but just for old time's sake, be careful. Morgan ain't no man to mess around with.
I'm smart enough to know that.
I know just how smart you are, sugar. You damn capable of doing anything you set your mind to.
Come on, Valentine. I mean, do I really look like the mad killer type to you?
Hey, now that ain't no fair question.
Why?
Sweetheart, you've always looked just fine to me.
Meanwhile, the day before, she said that she wanted to make it so everyone was killed dead, tortured.
I love it. That's an alibi, baby. That's an alibi.
The montage of let's take out Morgan's men. Now, Morgan, by the way, we should not forget to mention his Frida from ABBA looking lady.
Celeste, his girlfriend Celeste.
Celeste.
He treats like garbage.
He treats her like trash. But she does treat Sugar. I mean, she says terrible things about Sugar too. But she's jealous of Sugar.
So, like, there's a part when he approaches Sugar to sell the club, and he's, talking to her. He says, now look, Celeste, that's class. And she goes, that's not class, that's color. So she's referring to her being a black woman. He kind of flirts with her. He's like, he wants to be friends with her. He goes, my friends call me Morgan. And she's like, well, my friends call me Sugar. So she's playing him. She's playing him for money. She wants to, get in and see where he is and exploit the fact that he still wants the club. But she's not stupid either. She's like, I know how much the club is worth.
I love that too. She's not backing down, even though I guess we're to assume that he knows that she knows that he had something to do with it. Because he says something like, well, why would you're Langston's girl. Why would you?
So yeah, so he offers her money. She says, how about you sweeten the pot from, this is a line I use. She goes, give me something the tax man can't find. She goes, let's say $10,000.
Oh.
There's this banter back and forth, and then he says, well, do you have any reason to like me or whatever? And she goes, I have 10,000 reasons why.
And he liked that. It fit. But I gotta say, before, when that Celeste quote, he follows that up with, when she said that's colored, he said, well, you could use some of whatever it is too. So I did love that little shot back.
You have a few things going on. You have Valentine going to this voodoo demonologist expert because they found shackles and they found mold and decaying skin on the victim. So he's going, you see him working the case behind the scenes, going to labs, going to this to try to figure it's an occult thing. They find some slave shackles. So that's part of the scene. Then you have Sugar, who's systematically going through and killing all of these bad guys. You have Morgan, who is starting to feel the pinch because his men are slowly disappearing. And then you also have Sugar, who is also between killing, moonlighting as a voodoo, controlling voodoo people. She's doing photo shoots and photography and still doing her craft.
And he loves that she's a working woman, he says, because he visits her at her studio and she takes these photos as well. I think we've always mentioned this too, David. When Sugar does her killing, she goes into, I guess, her killing rampa and afro.
I love this outfit. So she adorns a afro, which I believe...
I'm assuming it has to be a wig, right? Because she goes right back to straight hair right after that.
I don't know if she caps her hair back and that's a wig. That is her natural, or which again, some people can say, well, what is that about? I don't know, but I can tell you this: the outfit is gorgeous on her. She has this jumpsuit on, sort of white, which is funny because white is always purity and this and that. Meanwhile, these are heinous murders. So every single time there's a killing scene, she adorns this. She has her
outfit, her killing outfit,
and then she has on this beautiful white jumpsuit killing outfit, which is, I guess, a suit is powerful. Men usually use suits. So anyway,
I agree. Yes, it is like a powerful.
So let's go down the killings. We've established that she's out for revenge. We established that there's supernatural powers she has access to. She's playing around with Morgan to get money from him, but also to kind of infiltrate and play him. And she is out for revenge. So you have different henchmen and evil, the minions of Morgan, who she's going to systematically go through. They're all disgusting looking too.
Yeah, they look like typical mobster minions.
like
greasy,
greasy, slicked back hair, and you could tell that they chain smoke 1,000 packs of Marlboro or something, or Parliament. I don't know. One other thing. In the meantime, Valentine is getting really close to the answers. So Sugar has Baron Samedi make him fall down a flight of stairs and do something to his leg. She said, "Don't kill him." He goes, "You like this man. You like this Valentine." And she says she does. So she doesn't want him hurt. She just wants him off the case. So he ends up in the hospital. No, he's not harmed, but he's something wrong with his leg. He says, I can tell you my leg is broken, but I can't feel my leg because Baron Samedi put a pin in his leg to immobilize him.
It takes Valentine out so she could finish this thing. So the first killing is a dude at a dock, and he evidently is also in charge of workers, and he's literally making the workers pay for work.
Oh, he's a dick, man. I hate to say it, but I don't want to say that word, but he's a dude.
I mean, he's counting stacks of bills. He's inside, and this is our first killing, and David, she says, "I'm not accusing you, I'm passing sentence."
Hey, Whitey, you and your punk friends killed my man.
You know, you got one of the prettiest asses in town. I'd sure hate to see it kicked in for accusing people.
I'm not accusing you, honk. I'm passing sentence.
Love that. And then he gets killed. They chop him up. They chop his head off and everything.
Yes, they discover that head later on. Then we get a scene where, and this is all over the place, but Celeste is jealous of Sugar, and she goes to Club Haiti and has the nerve to tell Sugar to get out of her own club.
And then Sugar gives it to her. Oh, go, because I use this line. I use this line in a battle. I use this line, and I told some lady off. Man, woo! It was good. It was good. It was so good.
She goes to Sugar's bar, and she goes, "I think you're mistaken. This is my club." And she just keeps saying, "Leave, leave, leave." I love this. Sugar has a bartender that's kind of comical, too, the whole time. He always makes looks. Celeste and Sugar get into a fight, and Sugar is slapping the crap out of her. I love this. Sugar's bartender even gives her a bucket of ice at one time to throw it on her. But David, what does she say to Celeste?
I'll ad-lib this, but she says, "Celeste, when I look at you, I look nowhere but down."
Get out of here. Leave.
Funny. I get the feeling that you forget this is my club, and you're the one that's on her way out.
Don't you get uppity with me.
Uppity? With you? My dear, talking to you means I look nowhere but down.
And I said this to somebody who was not nice to me, and they were on the ground practically, and they deserved it. So what's the full line?
Celeste, aka one of our original Karens, says, "Don't get uppity with me." And Sugar Diana Hill says, "Uppity with you? My dear, talking to you means I look nowhere but down." And then she throws the ice on her.
I love it. 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 That bartender didn't even skip a beat. He was like,
he must have saw some.
She's like, here.
So then we get Baron Samedi masquerading as a taxi driver for the next kill. By the way, where did he get the taxi?
He's a mythical, magical, demonic force. He can get a taxi. Maybe he killed somebody for it.
Oh, maybe. So he brings one of Morgan's men to this field. Again, we get a walking scene. There's a lot of walking.
But here's another thing. He plays this part with this very, that typical, but he does it because he wants to disarm the guy's fear of him or the
playing. Yes, he's playing
powerful. This is where, when again we talk about this whole blaxploitation thing, he was using the fact that this man already is a racist to his advantage to make him think that he is this uneducated kind of a thing. Which to me, it was disarming.
Calculated, smart. He tells them Morgan's men is over there, and there's one point when this gentleman turns around, and I love this. Baron Samedi disappears, and he's just a scarecrow. I love that scene. It's kind of freaky too. This is when he comes across Sugar, and he's like, "You?" And she says she killed one of the men, and she's sitting on top in her white romper on top of a pig's pen. And she says these hogs haven't been fed in a week or something like that. And he goes, "I don't believe."
Did you say they're righteously starving?
They're righteously hungry, I'd say. He goes, "Feed them." And she says,
"Well, feed them!" And then the zombies pull him over into the pen. He's being gnarled apart by pigs. And she goes, one of my favorite lines too. "I hope they like white trash."
Hello, honk. Remember me? Come over here, O'Brien.
No!
I want to show you something. Look.
I just want to get out of here.
Look!
You're not gonna do anything crazy, are you?
You mean like I did to Tank?
That was you? I don't believe it.
You're about to become a believer. Poor little piggies. You know they've gone for almost a week without any garbage? They're righteously hungry, I'd say.
Feed them!
Intend to. I hope they're into white trash.
Oh my God! I pissed. That's when Mike yelled out and left.
I think
hope
that
they
was
like white
hysterical.
trash.
But would pigs actually do that, David? Wild hogs? Were they starving enough?
Maybe Baron Samedi did something to them too. Yeah, I think anything would. I mean, there have been cases where dogs have eaten people too, right? But
you're right. Or the Catwoman, Batman Returns, when they start nibbling on you. The cats.
But they give you cat power.
That's true. I'll take the cat power after that. So she also says a great line right before this when he goes, I don't believe that you did this. She goes, well, you're about to become a believer. I think this woman, Marki Bey, again, please forgive me. I don't think she really did much before or after this, but she is a genuinely great actress. She does things very subtle with her face. And
that's what Mike said too. Oh my God. Mike said that too. Mike said she literally said she has a way about the way she says things and words things the way she does. He literally said something to that effect. He said it in a very articulate way, like it's the way she says these the sayings or whatever he said. It was like it's true. I don't know. It's bewitching.
This woman deserved,
and that's why we probably love this so much, because it's so I don't know. I always feel very empowered by this movie, and I love the one-liners. I love that shit so much.
Let's just say, David, there is another scene where a preacher is in a bar. I love this scene too. Baron Samedi is playing the barkeeper, and they kill another one of Morgan's
He gets to
men.
play dress up.
Yeah, I mean, I think they all enjoy it. Sugar, Baron, they're all playing this part. But the preacher is asked afterwards by Valentine. This is earlier, before Valentine's taken out. He goes, well, do you recognize anybody? And they keep calling him preacher, because he was playing the piano in this bar by him anyway. And this actor too, I thought this actor, he has a 1-minute scene, and I think he steals the show. He goes, if I see him again, I hope they don't recognize me. He says it's so good. I love this man's line. That's one killing. Then we get, oh my God, Morgan sends his man to deliver the money to Sugar's house. The gentleman walks in, David, and there's that chicken leg just standing up on the table.
And then it jumps on him.
I mean, at one point, I'm assuming it's off camera, someone's holding the chicken leg, right? Because it climbs up his leg. It looks like the way they're filming it, it climbs up his leg like someone's just holding this chicken leg, walking up this man. But it starts to strangle him.
So, if you know anything about, I don't practice Santeria, I ain't got no crystal ball. Santeria, they typically have, I've noticed they've used chicken legs and things like that in Santeria. I don't know about what Sugar's background in the occult or whatever is, but...
Because doesn't he say too, because he sees it and he's like, I don't like it. I don't like the whole thing. Because this chicken leg's just standing by itself on the table.
No, that's a different one.
Oh, is that a thing? He says, I don't.
Oh no, yeah. There's two different. Those are two different men.
The knife, Georgie.
So anyway,
the knife.
So this man ends up being held down by the zombie people. He gives Sugar the money. He's like, I have money. Here's the money. Here's money. And she basically says, again, this is such an eloquent thing. This is where I don't know how to describe it, why I love this movie so much. She basically has the zombies throw him into a coffin with a bunch of snakes. And then
alive too. Ooh.
He's trying to reach out his hand, and she throws the money, and he says, here's your money. Like, basically, you think that money solves everybody's problems. Again, this is such a amazing thing to say, that money, yes, we all laugh and say, if I had more money, I'd be fine. And I always say, on a tangent, I always say money would buy my happiness because I'm already happy with my life, but money would give me security. But
amen.
But the way she's saying it is like you use people and you kill people and it's all about money and greed. She says, here, take it with you. Maybe that'll keep you company.
Take it with you. See how much it buys you where you're going.
Money. The answer to everything. Here you go, beggar. Take it with you.
See how much it buys you where you're going.
And I love the way she says that, where you're going. And then, David, we get the final death prior to the big ending, where
before the boss level.
Fabulous goes for his weekly massage. Now, people might have heard us say, quote, we've said this many times on this show, because we've said this continuously in life.
$20? I'm convinced.
So Sugar goes to a massage parlor, which I'm only assuming has to double as a brothel of some kind, sex work.
It's a happy ending place.
Because the owner is dressed in her 70s best
floozy
sex outfit. Yeah. Sugar says that she wants to do a practical joke on Fabulous because she finds out he never misses his, I don't know, Thursday appointment. So she goes, $100?
I don't know if I should do it.
$100? 120.
I'm convinced.
Mm-hmm. You sure he'll be here?
He hasn't missed a Thursday in 6 months.
Good.
I don't know how we always said it, unless we joked that it would be only take us $20, maybe.
That's probably it.
Because she goes, 120, and she goes, I'm convinced, the woman. She was like, no, I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if I should do this. And then Sugar's like, $20 after the 120. And she's like, I'm convinced. And that's it. Baron Samedi takes over.
As a receptionist.
As a receptionist. He goes, I forgot who's out today, but the beautiful and sensuous Frenchie will take care of you today. Fabulous goes in, lays down on the table, and guess who Frenchie turns out to be? It's Miss Sugar Hill.
In her killing outfit.
He doesn't turn around. Aren't you shocked? I always thought that this man would want to see the sexy woman that's, massaging him, but...
The sensual Frenchie.
The sensual French. She puts powder on his back to massage. I don't know if that's a common thing. So she said, you know what? It's kind of slow there today. So what about if she gets some of her far out fun girls and they kind of make like a scene,
And she's like, I'll even give you a group discount, baby.
How would you like it if a couple of really far out dolls was to work on you? Kind of like a scene. I'll even get you a group rate, baby.
Yes!
She's like, I'm ready for the kill.
So she pretends she leaves the room. And David, I've always said this, instantaneously, she closed the door. Fabulous is, what's taking you so long, Frenchie? Man, the woman just walked outside. Give her a minute to gather these women. And then you find out that Sugar must have had the zombie brides just waiting in that room too, because Fabulous, all of a sudden you see nails. These zombie hands on his back, David. And he says the famous line of, treat me easy, do me nice. Because they're starting to claw his back up. What the actor actually said, he loved it because it felt so nice on his back. He didn't want them to stop.
I saw that in that interview.
They kill Fabulous. So now Morgan is alone with Celeste. And Sugar calls and says, the deal is over. Go to hell, Morgan. And that she's at her house on Hill Street. She's not home. She's at her old house on Hill Street.
And then he tells Celeste he's going to get that bitch.
Now he don't want anything to do with her. So what does he do? He takes Celeste out there to Hill Street. He goes inside. Celeste is taken in the meantime. The zombies break in the car.
Okay, but you're missing parts of this, though. There's three things that I want to say. One, the part where Mike laughed because Celeste was trying to comfort Morgan, rubbing his back, saying it'll be okay. And he's like, what did he say? Disappear. He basically tells her to disappear.
Why don't you disappear?
And then killing the last henchman is Georgie. She makes him pick up a knife and stab himself to death using voodoo powers on him. He's the one who goes crazy. She takes him back her house for what pretends to be sex. He's like, slaps her. He slaps her. And then she makes him kill himself. So that's one thing we missed. So Celeste and Morgan pull up in the Mercedes, I think that's what the car is. He sees Sugar in the window and he says, I'm going in there. She's like, you're not coming? She's like, I'm not going in that place. And she basically rolls up the windows and the guard stays in the car.
Morgan goes inside after walking around. I love this scene. He comes to a table and Sugar is standing there in her killing rampa and all of his men are there as zombies. Looking at him and smiling.
In the meantime, so you said Celeste, they grab her.
Cheaply, this is like Night of the Living Dead zombies. They just break that glass like nothing. They pull Celeste out.
So Morgan is running through the woods, trying to escape. He's shooting at the zombies, and then eventually he gets cornered.
In the forest. And is it quicksand?
Yeah.
You're all alone now, Morgan. Show us. Show us what a big man you are. All the others are dead.
All but you!
Everything is in this jungle, forest, land. The jungle, forest, land.
That's why I swear to God, I thought it was Louisiana, because sinkholes and, you know...
Unless you're just saying it was Houston because it was filmed in Houston, but maybe it is supposed to be Louisiana.
So Morgan, the zombies kind of corner him. He ends up falling into what appears to be quicksand, and he's yelling, help me, and they just let him drown and die. So that's the end of him. Then the triumphant ending. Baron Samedi appears, and he says to Sugar, all of your enemies are killed, right? Something to that effect. All dead.
Exactly. He gives her his cane. A gift for her. He goes, a gift for you, Sugar Hill.
And then...
she looks over,
and she goes,
and Celeste
he goes, everyone's gone, and she goes, not quite. Or there's one left or something like that, right?
Well, woman, you've destroyed them all. Nicely, neatly, superbly.
All but one.
What do you plan to do with her?
I was thinking.
Yes, the price I asked for our bargain.
Cheap at that.
Of course, I would prefer you. But she will have to do, at least for now. Goodbye, Sugar Hill. A gift for you.
Baron.
Won't you join me?
I don't blame Sugar for this, because Celeste treated her like trash. Morgan treated Celeste like trash. Celeste treated her terribly.
Well, she was a racist pig.
Yeah.
And she was a Karen, too.
A definite Karen. She was being held by zombies, so she looks over at Celeste. She goes, I was wondering. And he's like, yes, my payment? She gives Celeste over to him. Over his shoulder, David. He carries Celeste over his shoulder, laughing in this amazing, laugh. But then it goes so quiet, and she's in the jungles with Mama Maitresse, and she's like, it's over, Mama. You can rest now. So I almost thought that Mama Maitresse almost could she have been a spirit too? Or this entity that's attached to the land?
No, I think she's alive, right?
I mean, I guess
Valentine at one point did say she's really fast for a 100-year-old lady. She says, you can rest now, Mama. And I would have said, Mama, and when you get a chance, get the Swiffer out.
Mama, let's clean this place up.
Let's get this place clean. Can Baron Zombie just bring some of them back to kill off these cobwebs?
You know, they could have helped out Mama before they went. They weren't killing all the time. He says it will do for now. So do you think that at one point he wanted to have Sugar?
Who wouldn't?
Because he says, I would rather you, but he takes Celeste. So does that mean he wanted Sugar to be one of his zombies or a lover, something?
Well, that goes to the fact that you thought Mama Maitresse knew he was a great lover. Maybe she had him. Maybe she had him in the cab in the back a few times.
I mean, she is 109 years old or something, so...
Well, maybe
back in the day.
Maybe he gave her the cane too as a, like, passing the torch. Maybe she'll become a voodoo queen.
Didn't we always say we wanted a sequel?
Mama Maitresse did say you're not a believer.
Now she is.
Now she is. So, any last thoughts on the movie?
I think this is a classic movie that people should check out. Again, it might have dated as for now dialogue, like David said, even the honk and the cracker and this like that. But I'm more worried about, the issue with, use of the N-word. But again, this is a time capsule. This was made in 1974. This is what the time was like. So I would say never cancel a movie based on, portraying what actually happened. And then at the end of the day, like you said, we have a beautiful, strong female lead who is of color in 1974.
You had mentioned, and so going along with the whole blaxploitation thing, you had said that there was, go ahead, why don't you say, because I don't remember.
Oh, so on the DVD bonus features, they have interviews with a few of the actors, and one of them is Baron Samedi. By the way, I love this. The gentleman that played Fabulous said that Baron Samedi asked for his own dressing room. Because he was from Hollywood, he demanded his own dressing room, and then when they didn't do it, he rented his own bus.
His own Winnebago or whatever.
Oh, Winnebago, and he said he let me go in too, so he was happy about that. He says, now I don't know if this is just his opinion, but he said he wishes the term blaxploitation was never crafted because at the time, Latinos, Asian actors, and African-American actors relied on these movies to be actually seen, because he said, there was A-list, B-list, D-list, C-list, and then it goes to blaxploitation movies. But he said once Hollywood started saying that blaxploitation is exploiting African Americans, he said then the work started to dry up. So it's a different take on the term from his point of view.
It's so interesting because we try to touch upon all different aspects of movies and stuff, but it's interesting how, unfortunate that this was one of the only outlets. I don't know, like, to me, you think about big time movie stars and actors and stuff, and you see the progression. Obviously things have shifted, which is really great. Think about it, all the talent that never really got a chance to be. I mean, even Eartha Kitt, remember that said that the president's wife blocked her because she didn't like the fact that she was opinionated. I think it's a great movie. I think people should watch it. Like I said, you have to look past some of the language, but it's not any worse than I've heard on some of the stuff that my son listens to. 16-year-old. I say this, and I'll say it till the day I die. It's all about intent.
Yes.
If your intent is to drop an N-bomb because that's who the character is, because Fabulous also used the N-word.
And Morgan uses it for Fabulous too. He's going to make an honest blank out of him.
Which is just terrible, but
I thought that's used to show how terrible their characters are.
Yes, exactly. But that's what I'm trying to say. It's all about intent. Sometimes the use of the F word, and Alanis Morissette, let's just say, when she says every time what's the part when she says that you feel it when you fuck her in that song? You ought to know. That is a well-placed use of the word F. It's not like other things that are like fuck, F.
Right. Just for the sake
when
of...
she says it in that, it's because she's so angry that he's with another woman. So to me, that's where certain language is well placed and used the way it can be used without. It's still a bad word, but it's again the intent and how it's used. That's how I feel about these things. Welcome to the very special ABC After School special of the Radical Retro Rewind.
I always like to say it's a very special episode.
A very special episode where we face Blair having bad hair day. Lies my mother told me. Wasn't that one of the kid that was abducted?
Lies my mother told me. That was another episode of the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, you can find David at Universal Appeal 2020, all one word, and the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, one word, on Instagram. If you are listening to this, please like, subscribe, leave a review. Every little bit helps us. I mean, we're going to be new up until September, everyone, so we might take off for some holidays, but new episodes every Friday. David.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
It's over, Mama. You can rest now.